Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for being here with us today. We have an incredible story to share, one that's deeply personal. What do you do when the person you trust the most turns out to be living a lie? I guess the only way to explain it is to start at the beginning. My name is Daniel, and for 3 years, I was in love with a woman named Sophia. Not just love, I was convinced she was my forever. I wasn't searching for love when we met, but sometimes life surprises you in ways you never expect. It all started at a community event. I had signed up as a volunteer for a local charity drive, expecting nothing more than a simple afternoon of helping out. And then I saw her. She was handing out refreshments, effortlessly chatting with people, her laughter ringing through the air. The moment our eyes met, it felt like the world around me blurred. Sounds cliche, right? But that's exactly how it was. We started talking, and from the very first words, it felt easy. No forced small talk, no awkward pauses, just two people clicking instantly. We shared the same values, the same love for adventure, and the same passion for making a difference. By the time the event ended, I knew I had to see her again. And just like that, Sophia became part of my life. The next 3 years flew by. We created something real. We traveled together, made memories, met each other's families. She wasn't just my girlfriend, she was my best friend. So when the time was right, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. She said yes. And in that moment, I thought my life was perfect. The months that followed were a whirlwind of wedding preparations. We booked a venue, debated over guest lists, and got caught up in tiny disagreements that, looking back, were completely insignificant. Sure, wedding planning was stressful, but I didn't care. I was just excited to spend my life with Sophia. I never imagined that everything was about to unravel, but it did, and when it happened, it shattered everything I believed in. A month before the wedding, Sophia mentioned a trip to Los Angeles with her closest friends. She called it one last getaway before stepping into married life. At first, I wasn't sure, only because we were in the middle of finalizing wedding details, and I felt like we had too much on our plates. But she reassured me. She wasn't going alone. She'd be with friends I knew well, women I had spent time with at dinners, birthday parties, even at our engagement celebration. They weren't just her friends, they were part of our circle. So I supported her decision. In fact, I encouraged it. I figured it would help her unwind after all the stress of wedding planning. The truth is, she had been carrying a lot, handling the venue, coordinating guests, balancing family expectations. I could see it was overwhelming her. If a short vacation with her friends would help her relax, I wasn't going to stand in her way. Relationships are built on trust, and I had no reason to doubt Sophia. The morning of her flight, I drove her to the airport. She was excited, dressed in a flowy summer dress, sunglasses perched on her head, radiating happiness. Just before stepping into the terminal, she kissed me, whispered that she loved me, and then disappeared into the sea of travelers. I had no idea that this trip would change everything. Wanting to do something special for her, I decided to surprise her by booking our honeymoon. She had always dreamed of going to the Maldives, so I secured a luxury resort with a private villa overlooking the ocean. It was a big expense, but I wanted to make our first days as husband and wife unforgettable. As I clicked confirm on the booking, I couldn't help but smile, imagining the look on her face when I told her. I had no idea that while I was planning our future, she was already destroying it. 5 days into her trip, I was home, exhausted from sorting out last-minute wedding details, when my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Normally, I would have ignored it, assuming it was just another scam call. But something told me to check. The message was short, sharp, and devastating. "You're a fool. You're spending money on a wedding, while Sophia is having the time of her life with another man." My stomach twisted. Before I could even process the words, several videos loaded beneath the text. My hands shook as I tapped the first one. There she was, Sophia, on a crowded dance floor, wearing a tight dress, her arms wrapped around a stranger, bodies pressed together as they swayed to the music. She was laughing, her head thrown back, completely lost in the moment. But it didn't stop there. The next video showed her on the beach, lying close to a different man, their legs tangled in the sand, his hands caressing her skin. She wasn't resisting. She wasn't pulling away. If anything, she looked completely at ease, like this was normal for her. Then came the screenshots. A group chat, her friends laughing, joking about her wild night. They weren't shocked. They weren't worried. They were encouraging her. One message stood out more than the rest. "Girl, you're having way too much fun. Daniel better not find out." A cold wave of realization hit me. For a few minutes, I considered calling her. I wanted to hear her fumble through an explanation, to listen as she tried to twist the truth into something I could accept. But something inside me held back. I needed more than just grainy videos from an unknown number. If this was real, I needed irrefutable proof. And more than that, I needed to know who had sent them to me in the first place. Someone wanted me to see this. Someone wanted to expose Sophia. But why? I started by tracing the number. It wasn't difficult. A few online searches, some digging, and I had my answer. The messages had come from one of Sophia's own friends, someone who had been on that trip with her. That was when everything clicked. This wasn't some outsider trying to mess with my life. This was someone close to her, someone who had turned against her. I took a deep breath and sent a direct message on Instagram. We followed each other. No accusations, no anger, just straight to the point. I know it was you. The response came almost immediately. Are you texting to thank me for saving you? There was no hesitation in her words. She had done this for a reason, and she wanted me to understand why. Prove these aren't fake. I typed back. She didn't argue. Instead, she sent more photos, more videos, more truth. The first one felt like a punch to the stomach. Sophia sitting on some guy's lap, her arms around his neck, her lips pressed against his. Then came the voice recordings. In one, she sounded like she was surrounded by her friends, laughing as she spoke. I mean, I love Daniel, but his family? God, they're exhausting. His mom acts like she's the queen of the world, and his sister? Please, if she wasn't his sister, I wouldn't even acknowledge her. I felt my chest tighten. These were the people who had welcomed her with open arms, who treated her like one of their own, and she mocked them behind their backs. But the next recording was worse. Look, it was just a one-night thing. I was drunk, he was hot, and it was LA. It's not like I'm gonna marry the guy. It's not that deep. My breath caught in my throat. My mind screamed at me to replay it, just to make sure I had heard correctly, but there was no mistaking it. It was her voice. I had one final conversation with the friend who had exposed everything. I called her, and she picked up immediately, like she'd been expecting it. My voice was tight as I asked, why? She didn't hesitate. Because you deserve to know. I stayed silent, letting her continue. Sophia thinks she's better than everyone. She acts like she's this perfect, devoted fiancé, when really, she's just selfish. I was tired of it. She treats me like I'm beneath her. She treats everyone that way, including you. So yeah, I exposed her. There was no regret in her tone, no apology. She had been waiting for this moment. But I knew this wasn't about me. It was about her own resentment towards Sophia. Still, that didn't change the truth. I had my proof. Now, I had to decide what to do with it. When Sophia returned from Los Angeles and we met, she threw her arms around me, kissed me, told me she missed me. She even handed me a couple of souvenirs, a cheap keychain, and a t-shirt that read, Golden Coast LA. I watched her, listened to her go on about how much she needed that trip, how it was the perfect way to relax before the wedding. She was lying. I knew she was lying. And the worst part, she had no idea that I knew. I kept my face neutral, nodded at the right moments, even forced a small chuckle when she made a joke. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of a fight. No, I was going to let her believe that everything was fine. That was the only way this would work. So I played along. When she talked about wedding decorations, I acted interested. When she finalized the guest list, I pretended to care. When she asked about my suit fitting, I told her it'd take care of it. It took every ounce of self-control to keep up the act, but I did it. Because while she was picking table settings, I was making my own plans. Plans she would never see coming. The night before the wedding, I sat down with my family, my parents, my siblings, the people who actually loved me. I laid everything out for them. The videos, the messages, the recordings. I didn't have to say much. My mother's face drained of color. My father's jaw clenched, and my sister muttered something under her breath that I won't repeat. They were furious, but more than that, they were heartbroken for me. They wanted me to call it off immediately, to confront Sophia right then and there, but I told them no. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it my way. I looked at each of them and gave a simple instruction. Don't show up tomorrow. No one argued. They understood. And just like that, the stage was set. That night, Sophia went to bed thinking she'd wake up to the happiest day of her life. She had no idea she was about to experience the most humiliating one and the most freeing day of mine. The next morning, I imagined the venue looked perfect. White flowers lining the aisle, soft music playing, guests dressed in their best, all waiting for the big moment. Her family must have been buzzing with excitement, exchanging smiles, shaking hands, talking about how stunning she was going to look. Her bridesmaids were probably hyping her up, fixing the final touches on her dress, making sure everything was flawless. It was supposed to to be the happiest day of her life. But there was just one problem. There was no groom. At first, it probably didn't seem like a big deal. She must have checked her phone, expecting a simple, "on my way" text. But there was nothing. She called me. No answer. She tried again. Straight to voicemail. I saw the calls. I ignored every single one of them. I could picture it in my head. As the minutes passed, guests started exchanging glances, whispering. The tension grew. Sophia kept calling, dialing my number over and over, leaving voicemails. First confused, then worried, then desperate. But I never picked up because while she was standing there in her wedding dress, surrounded by hundreds of people waiting for a ceremony, I was already gone. I had packed my bags the night before and left. I was far away, in a place she would never find me. The moment must have hit her like a crashing wave. The realization that I wasn't coming, that this was real, that her perfect fairy tale had just shattered right in front of everyone. And then things got even worse for her. I don't know exactly how it happened, but someone in my family leaked everything. The videos, the recordings, the screenshots. I never planned for that part, but honestly, I wasn't mad about it. Once the truth was out, there was no controlling the damage. Sophia went from the glowing bride to be the woman everyone whispered about behind her back. The same people who once celebrated our engagement were now side-eyeing her in public, avoiding her calls, distancing themselves from her. The story spread like wildfire. Friends, colleagues, wedding guests, they all saw her for who she truly was. She tried to do damage control, of course, reaching out, making excuses, trying to spin the story. But there was no escape. The videos showed her actions. The recordings caught her words. No one had to speculate. She was guilty, and she knew it. Sophia had always cared about appearances, about being admired, and now she had neither. She called me nonstop, text after text, voicemail after voicemail. At first, demanding answers, then crying, then pleading. "I need to talk to you. Please, it's not what it looks like." I never responded because there was nothing left to say. She wasn't sorry. She was just sorry she got caught. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the anger, it was still there. But at least I wasn't trapped in it anymore. I wasn't in the same city as the woman who had thrown away my trust, and that was enough. Looking back, I learned 3 things. First, never ignore red flags just because you love someone. Love doesn't excuse betrayal. Second, trust is everything. Once it's broken, it's almost impossible to repair. And third, never be so blinded by love that you forget to protect yourself. I gave Sophia my trust, my loyalty, my future. She threw it away for a drunken weekend in LA. That was her choice. Mine was to walk away. And now, I don't exist in her world anymore. What do you guys think? Did I handle this the right way? Or should I have confronted her? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever been in a situation like this, I want to hear. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and turn on notifications so you never miss more shocking real-life stories like this. See you in the next one.